Okay, hello to everyone out there. Thank you so much for joining us today. We do appear to be streaming live. Huzzah! Oh, excuse me, let me turn that down. Okay, my name is Greg Lewis. I'm the marketing director here at MetaStock Software, and we're coming at you from my basement as we have been doing for many months now. If you don't know who we are, we're MetaStock. We are purveyors of software, analysis software, and market data for traders just like yourself. And to that end, I think I'll play you guys a little video. How does that sound? Director, I get asked all the time, what is MetaStock? How can I help my trades? Well, stick around for about 3 minutes and I'll tell you. MetaStock is an award-winning software and data package that has been helping traders for over 35 years. Simply put, MetaStock is a tool for traders like you to analyze the markets. MetaStock helps you take the guesswork out of trading by offering a methodical, systematic approach to some key questions all traders come up against. Questions like, how do I decide which securities to trade when there are literally thousands to choose from? Which strategy should I use, and how do I test that strategy before spending my first trading dollar? When should I enter and exit a trade? How can I effectively manage the securities I'm interested in? And of course, how do I know where prices will go next? At the core of MetaStock are the power tools. The power tools give professional-grade analysis tools to private traders like you and me. You can scan the market with the MetaStock Explorer to filter and sort securities that show buy and sell signals based on your criteria. The MetaStock System Tester lets you test most strategies through a process called backtesting, which allows you to see how your strategy would have performed over time. You can easily manage and monitor the securities you are interested in with Quote Center. Quote Center lets you sort on a variety of criteria to view the data that's important to you. Then just double-click on a security if you want to see its chart. With the MetaStock Forecaster, you can even take advantage of patented technology to view probable future prices. If you're an options trader, you're going to love MetaStock's OptionScope. OptionScope puts all the critical info at your fingertips, displaying sortable, customizable, color-coded options data, including the Greeks. And MetaStock has solutions for traders of all levels and interests. If you're just getting into trading, you will appreciate the education offered by our many built-in systems. In addition to pointing out buy and sell signals, MetaStock explains how they work in an easy-to-follow commentary window. MetaStock has built-in systems based on popular strategies like MACD, Bollinger Bands, turtle trading, candlesticks, and many more. MetaStock even has the very popular and exclusive Rahul Mohindar oscillator system, or simply known as the RMO. And as you become a more experienced trader, MetaStock grows with you. Advanced analysts will enjoy the comprehensive list of trading systems and indicators, and the ability to build their own systems. And if you're a day trader, you can't do better than Zenith, the real-time news, data, and analysis package offered by Refinitiv, a world leader in market data. Add on the world-class support, and it's not hard to see why MetaStock has won the Stocks and Commodities Reader's Choice Award for 26 consecutive years. To find out more about MetaStock and how it can help your trading, visit metastock.com or contact a product professional via phone, email, or chat. How's that? So now that you know all about MetaStock, this would be a great time for you to take just a moment to subscribe to our channel, which is right here. If you would not mind heading over to, well, you're on our channel right now if you're watching us, so this shouldn't be too hard. And just go over and click that subscribe button. We have videos like this at least 2 to 3 times a week, and they're typically live, and typically they have guest speakers like today's very fantastic Oscar Carboni, and I know you'll enjoy them. And we also have a great library of recorded videos that you don't want to miss out on. Let's see, what else was I going to tell you? Coming up on September 19th, we have our Trader Summit. We do this just about every month. It includes typically 8 speakers, and it's a marathon event that's 8 hours long. And if you want to register for right now, I can't believe I didn't put it on this image, but just head over to metastock.com/traders-summit. Or actually, I think just go to traders-summit.com. We set up a special URL just for that. All right, and let's see, is there anything else? And I'm not sure I actually mentioned this. Go in there now. Today's speaker is the how does Jeff put it? The Forts of Nature, one Mr. Oscar Carboni. I see a lot of his fans are here. I see I have a lot of people that have already logged in. He's got a lot of fans, and for good reason. Oscar is a very engaging speaker, and he's very knowledgeable, and I just can't wait for this to get going. So, let's see, we got about 3 minutes and 51 seconds. Let's see, what else is on my note? Oh, hey, as you're logging in, go ahead and say hello. I see we have lots of people here. Let me say hello back. We see Renko and Vincenzo and Dan and Michael. So yeah, go ahead and say hello as you're coming in. Let us know where you're from. This is the weekly summit, and this is the weekly live. I can't think. Yeah, I noticed Michael Josman says I'm about as old as him. I'm assuming he's talking about my frail memory. This is the weekly market recap. And this is special because we really encourage people to engage, to throw out suggestions for stock picks. I know Oscar and Jeff are really great about that. So don't hesitate at all to ask any questions you want. Be very, very active on chat and just, let's have a good time. Anyway, we've got about 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and put myself on. Well, let me make sure I don't have anything else on my notes. I do have something else on my notes. We are recording this event, so if you didn't make it live and you're watching this now, but it's not now, is the recording. What I'm trying to say is we record this on YouTube, and if you don't know how that works, you just come back right here, and it'll be a recording just waiting for you. In fact, if you wanted to right now, you could just rewind and start over from the beginning and watch me talking at you, although I don't know why you do that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go on mute and make sure that everything is okay over on Oscar and Jeff's end. And thank you again so much for joining us today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday market recap. I want to welcome you. Thanks for coming. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a good week. It was a positive week in the market. Let's read a legal disclaimer. I'll talk to you about who we brought in today, and we'll get kicked off. So today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading, and MetaStock shall have no liability for any investments decisions based on use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So we got that out of the way. I do want to introduce a little bit my friend and great presenter. I really am interested to see what he has to say today about the markets. They've been up all week pretty much. But I'd like to introduce Oscar as a force of nature. He does such a great job of talking about the markets, and he's very, very passionate about them. And he's always got a really, really interesting take on things. A couple things that I will recommend that you do is you should go up and, Greg, if you would, I am do these, but go up to his YouTube channel, like and subscribe to his channel so you can see his new videos on a day-by-day basis. And it's actually youtube.com/futures analysts. Both of those are plural. And then you can also visit him at livewithoscar.com. Oscar, did I get those both right?
You did, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Well, welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Well, thanks for having me. I love MetaStock. I've been using it literally since I'm 18, which makes it 75 years that I've been using it now, and it's the best program I've ever used.
In general, I know you're going to kind of look at a couple of markets today, and like the markets in general. Do you have anything overall to say about kind of the market and what, the fact that it's up, or what are kind of your expectations going, let's say, into the election in a general sense?
So what I've noticed almost every year, you can find a couple of years where it didn't take place, but I've noticed almost every year there's some volatility, pullback in the market that takes place between August and October. With an election coming, it almost guarantees there should be some kind of a volatile pullback, nothing like the COVID drop, but something that will allow us to purchase one more time. And then I think the end of the year, we move much, much higher.
Okay. Do you see a difference depending on who we elect?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that if we can keep things status quo, the market will remain status quo. I think if things change, I don't know if the market will read that as happily as it will read status quo. Okay. Markets don't like change. Markets like status quo.
Understood. All right. Well, let's look at some charts then.
So, but I do expect some volatility, and if we do get a pullback sometime between now and October, I would tell everyone to buy, purchase that pullback, and expect the Omni year-end targets to be hit towards December.
Great. So we're looking, it looks like, at the CME, the ESU.
Yes. So
okay.
The purpose of this, of course, it's the week-ending recap. So I thought I would, of course, as I do every week, keep my eye on what's going on, and we'll discuss the big topics that took place this week, and hopefully we'll look at what should happen next week. So I found two interesting topics this week. One, the ES broke through this massive double top right here, which is a rare occasion. And number two, small cap stocks are lagging behind, like the Russell and the IWM. So I think we'll discuss that, and I will show you a series of charts that I've been looking at all week. And then I will open this up to discussion, and I'll answer all your questions, and we can pull up any charts that you desire, and we'll see if we can find something that will help you as well. So what I would like to do is add to that disclaimer. If you didn't know, trading futures, stocks, options, you name it, is extremely risky. If anyone tells you different, they're lying to you. There's inherent risk in here. You can actually lose more than you have in your trading account and owe your clearing firm money, which then will probably make your spouse want a divorce. So make sure you know the risks. Never trade without stops. Put them in first, and only trade futures if you've got money that is earmarked to be lost. If you understand that, you put your stops in. Let's take a look at what's going to happen here. So for the end of this week, today's date would be August 28th. we've seen something that rarely takes place in the markets, and that's something as big as an index like the E-mini S&P move past something that I call a double top. The first top here, then COVID hit, market had a big pullback, and when it rallied back, it generally will stop at that second top and drop. And you can almost count on that happening on a really telegraphed double top this big. So if the double top formation from this circle to that circle, had it been shorter in distance, meaning if these two circles were here, no big deal. It's not really a double top. This one is completely telegraphed. Everyone had a chance to view it, know it was coming, and what did we do? We went right through it. And I think that's fantastic. I love the fact that we went through. So what I want to show you is if you really want to figure out where the trend is, and the trend is your friend in this business, keep it simple. Keep things simple to spot trends. So what's simple? You see I have a channel on this chart. The channel is a simple technique, but Wall Street stares at things like this because of its simplicity. And if you'll note, once it gets created, the channel, you just fall off the channel anytime you hit it, and you bounce off of it anytime you get near it. So we have an established channel. And what the S&P did was it ran up along this channel, hit this spot right here, bounced off the trend line like it always does, and took off, negating the double top. And once again, I think that's great. So that sets us up for higher levels. Now, you are looking at a simple technique, and there's a bull flag here, and you can see how well they work. Right after the bull flag, and what I want you to keep an eye on this. The bull flag comes right down to this spot where it hits the trend line and then bounces from there. Jeff, can you mute your microphone, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then it bounces from there. Hits the trend line, not in the flag quite this time, and bounces. But keep in mind, when you see a bull flag meet a major trend line like this, it's generally a simple signal that the market wants to go up next. So this week, we've watched S&P negate a double top, a rare occasion, but it went right through, and is continuing on, staying inside of this channel. But we're going to look at many charts today to see if all the indices are following in this fashion, or if any of them are lagging behind. And as I mentioned, number two that we would discuss today is that small caps, or the Russell 2000, is actually lagging behind. And I think we should do something about that lag. So let's look at a few charts here. So the next one that I wanted to show you, and I've got a bunch here to scroll down through, so just be patient for a moment. Let's go here. You've got the Dow Jones Transportation Average on the daily bar chart. You had a very simple trend channel, which worked really well. The golden cross takes place right here. As you can see, let me give you some crosshairs on this. Golden cross takes place right here. So right in between August 10th and 17th, you had the 50-bar moving average get above the 200. We consider that a golden cross on Wall Street, and it's a buy signal. At the same time, how well analysis works, you've got a bull flag. It breaks out and takes off. So nice bull flag, which usually indicates the market will move higher in the transportation average, and that's taken off. So S&P got above a double top. Transportation average sees a bull flag and takes off. Let's go look at another. Look at this NASDAQ chart. Now, on this NASDAQ, the ascending channels are just amazing. Look at how long this channel has worked for. Now, there are traders that take both sides of a trade. They will buy it down here, or they will sell it up there. It just depends on where the market is. In a bull market, of course, it's much safer to take the buy signals, but channels work well, and you can sell at the top of a channel, put your stops in, of course, and buy at the bottom. What you started to see here is an ascending channel looking very nice, the blue one, but then look at how it starts to pick up speed, the maroon channel, and now it's really starting to pick up speed inside the green channel. And that looks like it wants to keep on going. So the market is behaving really well for trend, for fund managers, and for us, as long as you're not trying to short this. So NASDAQ looks good, is now breaking out of this blue channel. And if you'll note this blue channel, let me make this a little thinner. it is breaking out of it, which it hasn't done in quite some time. If you'll note right there, and let me expand, we are getting above that blue channel. Usually it fails at the blue channel like here and goes back down. So now you're getting above the blue channel. You are in that green channel. You're also in a secondary, the purple channel, if you will. And these are ascending, which are very strong channels. I love what I see. Of course, there can always be a pullback, but you keep this in mind. The next time you see a pullback to this, you get long again, because that's what seems to work in these channels. Simple, traders, keep it simple. I promise you, simple analysis works so well. So let's go look at another chart here. Let's see if we can find another pretty picture. Okay, look at this one. Now, here's where I think money is to be had. Remember I said to you, if it bounces, if there's a flag and it bounces off of a channel, that's usually a good spot to expect an up move to begin. Well, look right here. The laggard. The NASDAQ has been running. The S&P has been running. The Dow has ran. The transportation average has ran. But look at your Russell 2000. Lagging. It's going down instead of up. But right here, you hit the blue trend line, the bottom of a flag, and I think now it wants to break out. And being that Russell is lagging, when it breaks out, it should have a nice fat move to catch up to NASDAQ and S&P. Now, if you'll note, the 200 ball moving average is right here, and there was a failure at that average, and down we went, right? Failure at the average, and down you go. Boom, boom, boom. Well, look what happens at the green circle. Once you hit the green circle, you get above the 200 ball moving average, and look what happened. This is where it gets really interesting. Proves out these theories about flags and channels and what Wall Street is watching. Look what happened here. You had a bull flag right here in the Russell, and guess what that bull flag did? Bounced right off this trend line, the major blue trend line, bounced right off of it and exploded. Created another bull flag, and guess where we are now? Simple, right? But that works. That's very effective, but simple. And there's, of course, the golden cross has taken place, and the street has noticed that. Now, what's interesting about Russell is this golden cross has taken place now. The other golden crosses took place all the way back here somewhere. Weeks and weeks ago, Russell just made its golden cross the beginning of this week, and look what happened. Hit the bottom of a bull flag, and hit the bottom of a major parallel trend line. I say all systems go on that one. If the other markets continue higher, Russell is the star of the show. Now let's go take a look and see if there's any evidence to back that up. The transportation average. Oh, we've looked at this. Let's go look at the Dow. Looking at the Dow, absolutely positively, that Russell should end up running. Why? Because all the other markets just broke out of bull flags, except for the Russell. It's in its bull flag and have taken off. And being that Russell is lagging, the laggard follows the leader. The leader is all the way up here past its bull flag. So that means that Russell is probably the best buy on the board right now. It's the one that didn't actually make its move yet. And of course, you had your golden cross in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The channel is working really, really well. And I think that helps the theory that Russell will move higher. So let's see, we've looked at the S&P, the transportation average. We've looked at NASDAQ, we've looked at Russell, and we looked at the Dow. So now let's go see some of the components that make up these indices. Let's go see what they've been doing. So let's start with the first one that I pull is Amazon. Now, channels continue to be the flavor of the month. They're actually the flavor of this quarter. And look at how well the channel has worked here. Now, if you're paying attention even slightly to this market, you might recognize that this becomes a buy every time it hits. Not almost every time. So far, every time it hit that trend line. Now, how could it possibly hold at the trend line? This is nothing more than a purple line on my chart. If it was a piece of paper, I would have drawn that with a pen or a pencil. How could it possibly work? Why? Because it's a simple technique that Wall Street is paying attention to. Wall Street's the smart money. If the smart money sees a spot where they should get long, we should be following the smart money. How do you follow the smart money? Technical analysis, because a chart is a visual look at all the information, all the government reports that are coming out, all the reports that have been released, all the traders' reaction to those reports once they've come out, the Fed moving rates or not moving rates, it's all on the chart. And the chart's got no emotion. It's not excited. It doesn't have mortgage payments. It doesn't have alimony. It's very calm. And it disseminates all the information for you. And if you know how to read a chart, you know how to read the market. So if you'll note, every time you hit that trend line, you've got to buy. Now, there's also a center trend line I put in here. I normally don't use them, but look at how well the center trend line will work. And once you get above the center, you go to the top one. This is simple stuff. Now, my Omni is more complicated than this, where I would actually buy and sell gets more complicated. But what should happen next isn't complicated. How to handle it? Well, that's where you have to know where to buy, where to sell. You need to plan a trade, and then you need to trade the plan. I do that every day of my life. I have a trading plan written every single day for any market I'm going to trade, where I'm buying, where I would place a stop, where my profit objectives are, and I will not trade unless one of these numbers gets hit. If the market reaches one of my levels, I enter. If it reaches another level, I exit. But I do not just play the market with a hunch. I've got a trading plan. Now, the simple analysis tells me the trading plan should probably be on the upside. And then the complicated analysis is me figuring out exactly where to get the OMNIX in and out of the trades. But the simplicity will keep you on the right side of this market. So Amazon absolutely agrees with everything else that we've seen, and you would expect that that is true. Let's take a look at another stock that comprises our major indices. Let's look at this bad boy. Look at Google. Alphabet, if you will, but I think Google is way cooler of a name. So once again, simple trend channels. The red channel moving down was something that kept you in check all the way. Then it hits the big purple channel and starts moving up, and a new green channel starts to form. And this is what has been happening for the last few months. In fact, you might have seen a lot of this in my last presentation to MetaStock. Now, I pay attention to what's happening top day. If this turns into flags, head and shoulders, pennants, I'll start following all that. But right now, the simplest thing to follow are some flags, but mostly these channels. Sorry, in the background, you'll hear a little gardening, but you know, we're all working from home these days, so please bear with them. So these channels do work. The major channel was absolute. When the red channel got to this purple channel, it stopped cold and started creating a new channel on the way up. So these do work, and they don't work just because it's a line on the screen. They work because Wall Street's paying attention. So channels have ruled the quarter. I say traders, keep it simple if you want to know what's going to happen. Now, you've seen the stock market, and you've seen some of the stocks that make up the stock market. Let me show you why a lot of this is happening. Why is the stock market exploding the way it is? Well, thank you to our friendly US dollar. The dollar just keeps dropping. And I showed you this in our last presentation. Staying inside of this resistance channel, big red channel, broke the support line here. But the big thing is, look at the way it stays inside of this channel. And as the dollar drops, and this is a very flag-looking formation to me, as the dollar drops, it floats all the other boats. It makes stocks less expensive to have to buy. Well, it makes stocks the only game in town is what I want to tell you. That's really what happens. It makes stocks the only game in town. Low interest rates and a low dollar, there's nothing really to play except for stocks and commodities. That's where the money gets made. So the dollar moving down is making stocks go up, but what else is it making go up? And that's where I want you to pay attention. There's money to be had if you had to read these markets. Look at something like a commodity. Look at wheat. The dollar moving down has given life to this wheat market, and 200 bar moving average was the flavor of the week for months on end in wheat. And it finally has gotten above it. I mean, look at all the stalls at this 200 bar moving average, and now it's above. So now that it's above, we put the little green circle instead of these red ones. What else is it above? It's above this major resistance channel. So the dollar moving down is making commodity markets move up, not just wheat. Look at this one. Look at soybeans. And soybeans is in everything you can think of. Soybeans above the 200, but you see the street follows this stuff, because look what happens. You get below the 200 bar moving average for the first time, and look at the damage that gets done immediately. But at some point, we float back up. We get to the 200, damage done again. Boom, right? But this time you get above. In this channel is actually a flag, believe it or not. You've got a bull flag right here inside the blue channel, but you got above the 200, green circle goes up, and look, it turns right into a trend channel. So the street pays attention to simple techniques. It's not simple to trade, but they're simple to follow. And I like to point that out when I do these weekend recaps, because a lot of you, I think, are caught up in algorithms and the jargon on the street and Wall Street making everything seem so complicated. And I have to tell you, it's not as complicated as it seems, but you have to know what to look for. So these are some of the charts I thought I would show you. If there's anyone out there with questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them now. And if you can think of some other charts maybe you want to look at, we can do that.
Awesome. That's a pretty good recap. There are some questions that have already come in that I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about. RL wanted to know, there's a couple of kind of obscure stocks, Apple and Tesla. You might have heard of them.
I've never heard of either of them. Does Apple, is that a fruit tree?
Yeah. They're scheduled to split, I think, on Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we can find an Apple chart that we can sink our teeth into here.
The question from RL was, what do you usually expect after a split?
So I really like that question. Oh, that's not a chart we can look at. It's a big mess. Looks like my daughter was playing there. Apple, very interesting. It's going to split. So I have a question to pose to you before I answer your question. Apple's worth about $500 right now, right? The company itself is worth $500 per share. If you could get a stock or share for $100, what do you think it will be worth in just a short amount of time? Because the company itself is a $500 valued stock. The street's perception is that if you let me in for $100, I'm buying it because it's worth $500. And anyone that didn't get a chance to buy Apple or Tesla will now get a chance in for a much cheaper price. That will drive it right back up. Generally, what happens after a stock split is a lot of times the stock will head down a little bit, but not in this case. It's only going to give people an opportunity to get into the two of the major players on Wall Street for a cheap entry. That's going to go well. I think it's brilliant that they're splitting stocks. They're splitting this year.
Dan wants to know what you would anticipate the market's reaction to a contested election would be.
Well, contested election would mean Trump stays, right? That would be the contest, right? Either he leaves or he stays. So the contest would be whether or not he leaves. I think if we keep him, the markets like him.
Okay.
But the question of whether who won or who didn't, obviously that would create a few days of insanity in the markets. But I think that the street likes what Trump has done. Obviously, look at what we've done since he became president, even after COVID. So, you know, I read the charts in the street. I don't take people's opinions. The charts in the street say, you know, stay the course. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Things should stay the same.
Sal and Marcos would like you to look at gold and give us an opinion on gold.
Okay, let's go see what we have in gold. That's not what we want to look at. Let's get a fresh chart.
If you just click on edit, delete all, you can get rid of all of that at the same time.
Oh, I could, huh? I do one at a time. So let me see if it works this way. Why is that happening? All right, so edit.
Edit? Yep. Almost there. The other way.
After file.
Oh, the word
Delete all.
Oh, I love it.
And then just hit the indicator line studies. And
indicators are fine. Get rid of the lines. Oh, way to go. Okay, I love
there
it.
you go.
You know what? Let's just get rid of everything because the 2 lines that are there aren't doing any good anyway. So that was edit and delete all. Let's get rid of everything. All right, so this is your gold chart. Let me label it for you. All right, so make that a little larger just in case no one can see it. All right, so here's your gold chart. And if we make gold a little bit smaller, once again, of course, this has been in an insane run up. And I'm just going to create a channel right here and see if there even is one. And then we'll get into what we think about gold. Well, you know what? I'll call that close enough. The only time you went through it was once, and it didn't last very long. So decent channel right there, right? So at least we can, at least that shows us the major trend. Is gold going up or down? Major trend, novice stuff. But it's nice to define your chart before you start figuring out where it's going to go next. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, then what just happened is basically the same thing that we've been talking about for quite some time. When it gets into something like this, well, let's use this. When it gets into something like this and then hits the bottom of a major trend line, I think that's usually a buy signal. And you've got gold bouncing off of this and started to rally a little bit. The other thing is, don't forget, I just showed you the dollar index and a tailspin. And gold, if I can draw something quickly, gold is basically, let's see if it'll let me just draw a line. Gold is basically sitting on the other side of the dollar index because gold is priced in dollars and the both are quite sensitive to one another, especially right now. So if you were in a playground and you were sitting on a teeter-totter, which I'm trying to draw before your eyes, but it's really horrible, and you were sitting on this side, and which is dollars, and gold is sitting on that side, you know what happens when a seesaw moves, right? This part of it goes this way. The other part goes up. And what happens is when dollars go down, it makes gold go higher. And that is absolute. They have to work that way because gold is priced in dollars. So as the dollar weakens, basically gold almost doesn't have a choice. It has to move higher.
Very good. Let's look at Roku, if you don't mind.
R-U-K-U?
R-O-K-U.
That's a symbol.
.o. R-O-K-U .o, I think.
O-K-U.O. O or 0? Oh, right, letter O.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Nailed it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? R-O-K-U. Very choppy, but at first glance, if you asked me to just say, Oscar, what do you think about this? You'd have to construct this into some kind of a flag right here. I mean, just first thing that pops into my head is this is some kind of a flag. Let me see if I can illustrate that to you. Make these lines a little darker. At least in my mind, that's the first thing I noticed. I went, ooh, look at that big bull flag right there. So that I would consider a flag. This is your flag pole. And that's absolute. That's your flag. And basically, this should move higher. Now, there's more to look at. Let me just label Roku. I'll show you what else you should be looking at on this as far as analysis is concerned. Let's just get that a little larger so we can all read it. All right, so here's where we're at. But you've got this to pay attention to. First of all, you've already broken a major trend line, which would be this one. Right when you started the flag, you broke that major trend line. So then, of course, the next thing you have to recognize is that you should go up and challenge this and you'll call that the challenge of a double top right there. So I think what happens next is you go up and challenge this double top, and the S&P sure didn't stop for it. And that's a nice, decent-sized bull flag. Now, Roku could come back down to the bottom of this flag and head right back up. That's a lot of movement from 140 to 168. But when it breaks out of this flag, it should go challenge that double top and most likely go higher. Now, the other side of it is it's also moving up in a pretty channel this way. And you almost hit that channel again right here at the bottom of the flag, which is what we look for. Little things like that tend to help. So if we go like this and we make that the bottom of a channel, and we go find the top of that channel, and I say that we basically look at it, you could put it here and let some of those tops get broken through, or you could just put it right at the top there. I prefer this one. And I think that is now what you look for next. So I think chart-wise, it looks just fine. You buy the pullbacks.
All right. We have a comment here. William said, the market is telling us that Trump will win. I wanted to give you a chance to.
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
Well, the market likes status quo, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's showing us, it looks like what's coming in the future because they're future-based. If the market is moving higher for the future, it shows you that it expects status quo. At least the stuff that it likes now shouldn't change much. So I think the market does right now. Of course, as we get closer, once you're in October, if you ask me, none of this really matters till October. That's when everyone really pays attention and what they have to say matters most. So I think in October, we'll find out for sure. But the markets right now, if my year-end projections are going to prove to be correct again this year, you've got 34.67 and then up as high as 40 in the S&P.
All right. I'm going to have you look at maybe one more. We're not getting a lot of, if you guys want us to look at some symbols, or if you have questions, feel free to kind of come in. AMC had a nice little move up this week.
AMC.
I kind of wanted to get your opinion on it.
Ooh, look at that, above the 200 after building a pennant flag. And last time you got above the 200, it didn't last. And this time you did. So let's label this and do a little work on it. AMC. The movie theaters?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
You know, the interesting thing about my brand is I don't have to know what the company is. If the chart says go, I don't care if they make toothpicks or respirators.
Yeah, most of the time I'm looking them up after the fact.
I literally, if you know what they make, then sometimes it scares you. You think, oh, that's not going to work during this time of year. I don't want to know what they make. I just want to know if the chart tells me to buy or sell. So we'll start here. Nice channel line there, or a nice trend line, I should call that. And then, of course, we can just connect that high to this high. And what you'll note in just a moment is that this is a clean breakout. Let me make it a little thicker, and I'll zoom in. That's a nice, clean breakout. You saw where I started that trend line all the way at the highs, right? Blue trend line. It's riding the 200 bar moving average, this teal looking. And you broke out. What you did before you broke out was you put in this pennant flag right here, which they're usually quick and powerful, and nice breakout right there. So I love it. So you had this, right? The pole would be considered these days. You broke out, you got above the 200 bar moving average, put in a spike, but it didn't fall back. So now I say this, if you can stay above this for a couple of days, even if it comes back and tests it, you've got new levels on the upside coming.
Great.
As long as you can stay above the 200 and above that trend line. And let me pull the name back in. That was AMC, and it's a daily bar. All right. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, well, we're getting tons of them. What do you think of Home? HOME. I think that's Home Depot.
I thought that was HD.
Oh, but then I'm wrong. Let's see what.
It didn't come up. Let's try it a different way. Is there any other way to type that home symbol?
I don't know. Let me look real quick. HO. Do a little bit of an instrument search here.
Well, being that you mentioned
HOME.K is the symbol you want to use in MetaStock.
.K. Well, at home group ordinaries. All right, so let's look at the whole chart. A lot of this chart, isn't there? That's a messy, nasty looking chart, in my opinion. That's messy. I wouldn't actually trade it, but I'll give you a quick opinion of it. Charts like this, I just pass up and find something more solid. And this was HOME.
.K.
Well, but it's HOME on the stock market, right?
Yeah.
Or is the .K part of its symbol? It's not. It's part of MetaStock symbol, correct?
Yeah. That just breaks down that just basically tells MetaStock to get the one that trades on the New York Stock Exchange.
I didn't think there was a dot in it for the symbol on the exchange. All right, so it's home daily bar. For me, it just looks too messy. There's too many gaps. Something I've mentioned before. I look at that chart and say too herky-jerky for me, and I just find something that's more solid. But if you want to take a look at it, I would say worry about this plateau right here, because you can see a lot of action is taking place at this plateau. If you can get above this plateau, I think then maybe you start to smile. So that's above 26. I think if you stay under that plateau, it just doesn't look fantastic to me.
I like your first impression better. Stay away. Find something else.
Anything else? What else do we have to play with?
Let's take a look at silver.
Oh, my goodness. So let's do silver. SIZ, letters, number 0. What a market. But this looks better than what you and I just looked at. This, no gaps, right? Everything's smooth. You can sort of figure out what might happen next. So this is something, although it's silver, and I tell people it's the widowmaker not to play silver, I can certainly find trades in here. Silver, if you ask me, like gold, looks bullish, not as bullish as gold, but it certainly looks like it's going to move in sympathy with gold. But you see, I'm going to draw a channel that this is broken out of already. Watch this. This used to be the channel, and then it broke out of that channel and created this monstrosity up here. So if we wanted to just see if there's any more parallel channel involved in this, we could always just drop. Now, this one, we don't know if it's ever going to work yet, but I would drop that parallel channel above to hit the highs and then see if it means anything once we get up there. But I think what you're looking at here is the possibility of some strange looking bull flag building right here. You know, it's slightly unorthodox, but it's still a bull flag. So let's define that a little bit so you can see it jump out at you. I think this is some kind of a flag formation right here. Maybe we have to take this to that level right there. Maybe that, I think, is our flag. Let's find out. Yeah, I would call that a flag. So let's make this nice and deep, dark blue, make it fatter so it looks like a flag, pull the pole where it belongs, and then we'll take a look at it. So I think that's some sort of a flag-looking formation, which is bullish, and this is silver. All right, so it's been in a very, very smart run lately. It's pulling a bull flag. I think what it will do is it will start to build some sort of a channel this way now, which you've already caught a low here, and it starts there. So I'm assuming this is your next channel, and you can trade silver inside of it. So I would draw this and just leave it there. And if silver gets up to that, I would consider it. But this bottom line starting that channel looks very valid to me, which is showing support. So you see that support line from here, hits that low here, hits the low of the flag. I say as long as you stay above that, you can buy the dips on silver. And with the dollar going down, that helps you.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that, Oscar. Ed wants to know, do you have any thoughts on shorting ESU right now at these highs for a swing trade?
If you hate your mother-in-law, use her money to sell it. Otherwise, don't do it.
Okay. And then Ricky wants to look at your favorite RTY U20.
So the Russell. No, the RT. What you want to look at? Oh, the
RTY.
Russell 2000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Back to the Russell. Okay. I think that's smart because I think that's the one that we make our money in next week. Just to let you know that I like it, with a friend of mine, we've already purchased some IWM stock shares, expecting Russell to move higher.
Okay.
So here's the Russell chart. What about this chart can I help you with?
I think we covered it pretty well before, but I think it's pretty safe to say that you're fairly bullish on it right now.
You know what? I'm presenting a piece of analysis that should work, being that the flag hit the major trend line, the averages have crossed, the street's watching. If in fact we dropped lower than this for 2 days, I would negate that bit of analysis and find something for the downside.
Okay.
So this analysis should work. If it starts to fail next week, I will flip to something different.
Cam would like you to look at ZM.
I can do that. In fact, I may actually have a couple of versions of this. Let me see if it shows up. If not, I'll put a new one in. No, okay. Oh, you'll have to tell me. I couldn't get this to come up last time. So it's ZM what? Dot something?
Oh, I do not know.
I tried ZM last time and I couldn't get it to show up.
What exactly is the ZM, if I can ask?
So yeah, you'll have to tell me what the symbol is to pull it.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Okay.
Zoom, ZM.O.
Well, there you have it. Well, I'm saving this chart.
Okay.
So it's a Zoom daily bar, and then we'll take a look at it. And boy, at first glance, it looks fantastic to me. All right, so we've got Zoom. Look at this thing go. And being that it's not that old of a stock to begin with, you can basically count its entire life, do calculations, and see if it's moving correctly. And as far as I'm concerned, it absolutely is moving correctly. Now, you know, I can see the trends right here. Let me just put them in for you. I'm spotting them with my eyes. So let me start connecting some of this for you. And once again, you'll note that weird flag-looking thing came right down to this trend line, and then it bounced or created that trend line. Let's just go see how far this trend line goes. We can start it down here and pull it this way. I'm just going to test it out and see what looks best. I like that. All right, so then we're going to go from this one to this one. So here is probably the next trend. Let's make a parallel and see if this makes sense. Oh, yeah, I think that's going to seat nicely up here. All right, so I would say expect abstract, very abstract, of course, to stay in this channel and get above it at some point. But I like what it's building here in an abstract wide channel that's not really close to the action. So we've got that, and then we can zoom in a little bit. And then we can take a look at what's going on here. So remember I was saying this weird flag looking thing? If you ask me, this is what I've been showing you since this lesson started. For whatever reason, this month, we keep getting into these parallel channel flag looking things, and then it breaks out to the upside, just like this one. Look at how perfect all three of those lows hit there, just like the three highs hit. And, you know, they're kind of easy to spot. You draw the lines just so visually you could see them, but they're easy to spot, and they usually work well. So if you ask me, you can really force the issue if you wanted to call this a flagpole. It's not quite a flagpole, so I wouldn't draw it. But you do have this channel right here. And the channel breaks out, and look what's starting to happen. I say you end up here in no time at all, to the top of that. And this itself is starting to create its own little channel. So ascending channels happen to be what the street is in love with lately. And that's what we're getting. And I say follow them. It's simple, but it's very effective. Traders, by the way, if you don't mind, Jeff, you guys can join me live anytime you want. If you just come to my site, livewithoscar.com, literally log yourself in, when you log in, you will land at this page. Well, actually, when you log in, you'll land at this page. All you have to do is click OmniChat, and you can click in this chat room and join me live. There's no credit cards. There's no nonsense involved. What'll happen is if you end up coming to the live trading room, you will see me on camera like you see right now, and I mess with charts, and I sit here and just basically run the trading every day of my life. What I've created is, instead of trading in the pits as I did for most of my adult life, the pits went electronic, and I created my own trading pit electronically. And that's my trading room. So that's why there's no credit card fees. There's no anything. If you put in a username and password, you can come join me. And that's where you can get a benefit out of what I do. At the site, you can find my trading recommendations. I tell people on the left side of this box what I think will happen. Then down here, I give a chart to illustrate. And then on this side, I start updating with what to do next, where to buy, where to sell. And that goes on 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, from Sunday night until Friday. And I invite every one of you to come join me. You don't got to pull out your credit card. You don't have to give me any special information. This is so we can just stay together and trade together and help one another out. Jeff?
Dan wants to know if you have any issues with that. Email him at dano@livewithoscar.com.
Let's do that. Very good, Dano. If you have any difficulty coming to my trading room, because there's a live camera that I turn on and the microphone, and I want you to be able to see and hear. Now, just to let you know, you're not allowed to turn one on, so there's no freaks on the other end of this trading room. It's just me broadcasting. But if you have any difficulties at all, please just email dano@livewithoscar.com. He will help you see the camera, find me in the trading room, and if he needs to, he'll literally take TeamViewer and log into your machine and help you out. The customer service is free. The trading room is free. Come hang out with me during the day. You've got nothing to lose, and Omni's been really doing well in these last 5-6 months. So come join us. Jump in while the water's warm, kids. What can I do for you, Jeff?
I think we do one more. Greg Lewis wants to know if you should sell his RCL yet.
RCL. It's something I know I haven't looked at, so we'll look it up.
Yep, Royal Caribbean.
Oh.
Had a nice little move this week. And full disclaimer.
Here's what you gotta remember, and let me put that in. Poor you that you bought it, but that's okay.
Full disclaimer, I never said that.
I'm not sure what he didn't say.
Let's just leave it here. I don't want to waste time.
I didn't ask if I should sell it. I'm not selling it.
I don't blame you. Well, here though, you do want to pay attention to this. Remember, this whole lesson is about watch what the street watches for. Do you see this? You know the street's going to look at it. It's the 200 ball moving average, right? So it's not that it's magic by any means, but the street knows that a lot of people watch it and a lot of fund managers watch it, so they watch it too. Now you've got that right here. And look at the action that takes place when you get above it. Boom, boom, boom. You get below it, big, big drop. Well, you're about to come up here and test it. If you can get above, I think it's a fantastic look. If it doesn't get above, you know what you have building here, right? One huge bear flag, monster sized bear flag, which I certainly wouldn't want to get caught up in. So you should hope that it gets above the 200. Otherwise, probably you should get out. Now, the government, listen, the government has put in, I think the total now is up to $13 trillion into the market. That's a real number, 13 trillion. So when we had 2008 crash when the market crashed in 2008, you know how much money they put in? $3.5 trillion, maybe $4 trillion. Throughout 2009 to 2016, that was it. We've added $13 trillion to this, and it doesn't even have to float the real estate. The money in talk 2009 had to float real estate too. I don't think anything can stop going up right now as far as indices are concerned. And being that the government is bailing out Royal Caribbean, why not stay with it? Stay with it. If you get above the 200, you should smile. Take this flag away and stay with it.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I will follow that advice.
I think you'll be okay if it gets above the 200. I think the street will applaud you and they'll come in with you.
Gracias.
Gary Smith says, this was very good. So good job, Oscar. Can we listen to and watch this later? Yeah, just so we're just doing this on YouTube. The link's going to remain the same. You can just come back anytime you want to, Gary. This the place where you're watching will be basically the recording if you come back again. And you can start the video over or whatever you want to do. So
So the NASDAQ has been leading the show, everybody. You keep your eyes on that NASDAQ. It's been the leader all along. So as long as it keeps leading, you keep dancing, as long as the music keeps playing.
Do you have time for one more? I know I said that last time, but Kent really wants to know if Target's going to fill the gap. TGT.
Oh, let's go look. TGT, right?
Mm-hmm, TGT. And I don't think there's an extension on there, but we'll see. Yep, okay.
Woo! Okay. Will it fill the gap? Well, the simplest thing is to look back and see if this chart fills its gaps or not. So no gap fill here. Yes, there was one there. No gap fill here. No gap fill here. I'd say you have a good shot at it not filling the gap looking at its behavior in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a smart-looking trade right there. I dislike gaps in the E-mini S&P, but in single stocks, you can get gaps like crazy. There's nothing wrong with seeing gaps. Let me, put a label on this. And then we'll do a little more analysis on it. All right, so, I mean, I love the structure of the chart. Looking back, I only see one gap filled out of 3 or 4 gaps, so it doesn't have that propensity to always want to fill its gaps like S&P. And I think it's just been running beautifully. I like what I see in this chart in a lot of ways. Of course, I hate seeing gaps not filled, but it's not the S&P, so I have to put blinders onto this one. So what you're doing here is getting above what should have been a parallel channel. So you built a flag, right? I'm going to call the whole thing a pole, even though the gap opened higher. This whole thing's a pole with a pennant flag at the top of it. And we'll blow it up a little bit so that you can see that develop before your eyes. So now you have a flag, right? And we'll darken all of that in. So at this moment, breaking out to the downside of the flag, but the market itself is not going down, the stock market. So you get back into or above that flag or get back above the top of this channel, and I think Target will just explode. So the question is, will it fill its gap? If it was the S&P, my answer would be unequivocally yes. Being that it's Target, and if you look back, it doesn't always fill its gaps, I say as long as the stock market goes higher, it won't fill that gap either.
Perfect. Okay, so Oscar Carboni, ladies and gentlemen, you can join him live at livewithoscar.com. You can visit his, and I would recommend you go to his YouTube channel and subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/analystsfutures. Both of those are plural. And Oscar, great job. We love having you do these things. You do such a good job with them.
You know, I love playing with charts. I breathe this stuff. It's like oxygen. So anytime, Jeff, anytime. I love doing this. Traders, I hope I helped you out there. Thank you for tuning in. Please come join me at Live with Oscar. All you have to do is register, and you're in. This is about the only information I ask of you. And you can come join me in my trading room anytime you want. Please do. MetaStock, thank you so much for always being there. Jeff, thank you for having me. And fans, thank you so much for tuning in. Is this today Friday? It is.
Friday, yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody. I thought it was still Thursday.
All right. Thanks for coming, Oscar. Thanks for coming, everybody in the YouTube room. We'll see you at the next one, okay?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks.